Being 1-1 this afternoon at FC United, what do you think of that point in that performance?
Performance great, point not so great. As I said, personally speaking, I think we should win the game 5-1. Chances we created away from home, missed penalties, missed one-on-ones, first half and second half. The first minute into the second half, Samo goes clean through, so Denzel doesn't even get a shot off. Gilly's missed a pen. Dion's at the end just squares it across to Van to tap it in. There's just endless chances, which is, as I said, really disappointing. But you know, that's a game you can actually lose. We've worked a great set piece, got a goal. I said, but at the moment we're relying on goals from set pieces. However, this is the first time I would say we've really opened up. I know we did with Nuneaton, but I said we've really opened these up time and time again. And they had to go for the manager, they really did.
You brought Devan on with about 20-25 minutes to go. What was the message to him? Because you changed kind of the line-up in attack. What was the message to him and how did you look to change it?
Just tried to get him on the ball. I think Gilly's his heads looked like it had dropped a little bit, and probably the penalty, and it just looked like it wasn't going to be his day. So the idea was to change it, push Dion further on, and trying it so they couldn't double bank the pace and try and stretch them. As I said, he's done alright when he's come on. We'll end up getting the goal from a long throw, which, you know, was a great flick from Sam and a good finish by Devan.
Does that show the importance of set pieces to any team, really?
Yeah, well, you know, as I said, if you look at the last few games, we've got one against Spennymoor, we've got one today, we've got one against Ashton, we've got one against Alfreton. So yeah, it is usually important, but as I said, it's also more important that we're clinical. You know, they've had one shot actually on target the whole game, I think. You know, they've had a header late on, which is offside, but one shot on target, and it's gone through a couple of legs and ended up in the bottom corner. No, Dan's not at fault. We've had the ball in a really good area in the middle of the pitch where we can actually turn them, and then we've played it into the middle of the park. It's been cut out, and you know, as things go, you end up conceding.
A couple of late setbacks lately at Alfreton and Spennymoor. How important psychologically is it for us to get the late equaliser?
Well, we've had one defeat in 5, so you know, I think that's important in terms of. But I said today it was balanced. The team, the shape. Brad coming in gives us natural balance, and we've got options. Obviously, you know, with Devan coming on, pushes Dion up front, so it gives us more pace. I mean, a couple of big calls. I actually did think we defended well today, but obviously leaving Jordan and Elliott out would, you know, because they're both done well. I said no reflection on them, but we're going in games that's 9 games. We haven't conceded, kept a clean sheet, so it comes down to I've got to try something. And right back was an area where, you know, we've conceded goals down that side quite regularly, and you know, I thought Dean defended really well today.
I was going to ask you about your lineup. As you say, you gave Brad his first start. How do you think he did? And also, I know you've been keen to get Dean in the team. Is that purely because the focus has been on trying to shore things up in defence?
Well, you've got to shore things up. Getting Dean in the team actually gives us a bit of an organiser. You know, you've got to remember Josh is coming back from a 9-month layoff. I said, you know, and there's little bits of him where he's been flaky at times. That doesn't mean I doubt him as a player. I've got to have understanding that he's coming back from a long-term injury, and probably that's why we got him. So no, it's 8 or 9 games back on for him, not including the friendlies. I just think the team gives us that little bit more leadership.
The fact that you brought Devan on, Dion started on the right and moved up front, does that show the sort of options that you've got in an attacking sense? Yeah,
but you know, that's all well and good, but we need that balanced off with a little bit of Brad Bress in terms of getting on the ball. Now he'll come, that's his first start of the season, you know, after having a very good pre-season. So as I said, it'll come. I wasn't despondent last week when we've conceded late on, because I thought that was a fair result. Mortified today that we haven't come away with 3 points because it's not a fair result.
You mentioned 1 defeat in 5 now and the improvements generally. In terms of transferring these points hopefully into wins, do you think it's coming? Do you think things are on the right track?
Yeah, very much so. As I said, you turn around and say 1 defeat in 5. You know, in that there's 3 draws. You know, you might turn around and say, well, you know, you prefer a couple of wins and whatever. I said, but it's actually keeping the scoreboard ticking on, keeping belief. And you know, I said, we've come back in a game today where, after all that has gone wrong in terms of missing chances and missing penalties and whatever, we could have easily actually fell away, but we never. We come back, got it, and then we should have won.